why you are controlling the network? Yeah. So why you are controlling the network? What is our use case?
To check the real-time scenario.
Yeah. So to mimic the real-time use cases. The relay is using very less speed, so you have to control your speed and test it. So based on that, you will be validating your reports. Okay. So while collecting the requirement from the client only, we have to ask this question: what is our audience, average audience, target audience located? Okay. Mostly it will be in the cities, or that fine. But if there's kind of remote location, so we have to explicitly test the scenarios in that way. Okay. So today we'll be discussing the concept of logic controllers. Okay. So what is a logic controller? To control the request in a logical way. Control the request means nothing but samplers. Sampler nothing but our APIs. API nothing but our flow. To control our flow, right? Based on that, to control the flow, to use in a logical way, like condition based or something like that, I have to use logical controllers. Okay. So that's great. So what is the first component I need to add? What is the first component I need to add?
Thread group.
Thread group. First plan, add threads, thread group. Right? Then add, say add HTTP request. Okay. So I have 10 HTTP requests. So what is the way to fill the data? Easiest way of server names. I want to fill the
keep at
server
the top.
names. Sorry?
At a global level, we need to keep
Keep what? Request defaults.
request.
Right? HTTP request default will help us to fill the data. Okay, whichever is empty. Okay, so when I'm going for a API, when you're writing manual API testing, in that case, that will help us for. Okay, so let me save this logical controller. Add listener. I Suresh mentioned some doubt right yesterday. So what is the
Yes,
doubt?
clear, bro. Actually, what I did mistake is in the CSV file, some blank data is there. The rows is blank is created.
Okay.
That's why that geometry is taking as a blank, turning error.
Yeah, see, yesterday I'm asking the request, but you're sending all the response. You understood, right? In the viewer history, if I run something, okay, okay, sorry. Let's say if I ask a request now in the viewer history, so you have to click this one. This is a request tab because this is where we'll get to know what you are sending.
Yes, yes.
We're always sending response tab only. Understood, right? So whenever I say response means this is a response.
Okay, okay.
Request means this is so that I can know what you are sending. So without seeing this, right, we can't write why you are getting the error.
Okay, okay.
Okay, so if you see, because
actually, okay. Okay, okay. Got the point.
Yeah, okay. So if you are in doubt slide, we'll discuss after the class.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. Everyone, I mean, whenever you got any doubts, right, ping me. Otherwise, we can discuss after the class like that way. Okay? Yeah. So now
actually,
see.
in the request, it is sending UOF.
That's why. If you send yesterday that screenshot to me, I would have found out that. Okay, yeah.
End of the file, it is
written. That's why, right. Right. Now, yeah. See, now I'm getting failures because I'm not passing any data. Okay, so where can I find request defaults? What is the main component to request defaults? Request defaults. Where can I find in the request defaults? Out of this, all the main components.
Config element.
Config element, right? It's a config element because it is setup, so right. So as we'll do logical controllers, I won't be concentrating on what I have said. So we'll be concentrating controllers part on how it's controlling. Okay. So that's why I'll give simply path also. APS restart. Okay, let's run code. See, enter blank, right? Everything will take from the request defaults only. Okay. So now we have 7, right? Out of 7, I need to only use 5 from request defaults. I need to 2 give manually. How can I do that? Either out of 7 requests, I want to use only 5 request from has to be request defaults value. And 6 and 7, I have to use something else. So what we'll do? We'll give the value here. If it gives the value here, the first preference is request will take the value from here only. If we are not, but if something blank here, then only the request will go to accept request defaults to check the default value. Okay, right. So now see our first controller. Suppose see what is loop count does? What is the loop count?
One.
What is the loop count? How it will affect and what is that exactly? Why you have to use loop count?
To repeat the request.
To repeat all the requests for every
Yes.
single user. If I give 3 users means if I give loop count 3 means each user has to loop 3 times. Correct? This is a loop count. And suppose if I give 3 here means one user has to repeat the same number of requests 3 times. Of sequential, right? 1 by 1. Once you're done with 7, then you go and start with 1 to 7. Then again you go to 1 to 7. Correct? Now let's see. Yeah. Now, but I want to iterate only particular 4 requests. I want to repeat this 4 3 times. I don't want to repeat all other 3. Can I do with this loop count? I want to iterate only particular request, 4 or 7, anything, any one request. Can I achieve that one with the loop count?
No.
No, right? Because loop count is responsible for all the requests in that group. Whether you have 1 or 100, right? So in that case, if you want to control the single request, right? That's where we're using the add. Yeah, in the thread group, right click, add logic controller. I will be using the loop controller. So we are discussing controllers. So you'll be seeing the logic controller part and you'll see the loop controller. So then add, drag it. Let's say I want to do with the 5, right? So I'll put a loop controller 5. So means this 5 request will be responsible for this loop controller. And if you see your loop controller, I can give loop count. So let's give 3. And in the thread group, I'll give 1 only. Everything is 1, 1, 1. Okay. So let's add aggregate report for better counting purposes. See how many requests of request 5 executed? What is samples here?
3.
What is samples?
3.
Number of requests.
Number of requests, right? Sample of the number of requests. So how many 5? 5 is 3 is nothing but it is executed 3 times. Why it is executed 3 times? Apart all other only 1 time. Because this 5 is tagged to loop controller and the loop controller explicitly mentioned 3. Okay. Now okay. So I have given 4 in the loop controller, number of users 4, loop count 5. If I run the request, what is total number of request output of entire geometry script? If I run the script now, how many total number of requests can I see in the aggregate report? What is the count? How many requests I have?
7.
Let's say forget about loop controller. If there is no loop controller, then how many requests I'll get it?
7.
7 into 5.
7 into
5.
5 into
4.
4. 7 into 5 into 4, right? 4, 5, 20, 27, 140 requests will come. That's a normal case. But here, what I did, I kept a loop control of 5. Request 5 of 4. So let's say, forget request 5. This loop control is also request. This is also request of that group only, right? So
yes.
this 4 into 5, 20 times. 4 into 5, 20 times will be applicable to loop controller. Correct? Loop controller, because it's also under one part of that group component only. Right? So 4 into 5, 20 times will be applicable to loop controller. But in the loop controller, we have one more 4 here. So 4 into 5 into 4 for request 5. Understand? 4 into 5, 20, 20 into 4. So 80 times request 5 will come. That's clear, right? Request 5. So now, for let's say 6 only, because we kept loop control here. So 6 into 4, 5 for 20, 26, 120. So 120 for all other requests. So request 5 will come from 20 into 4, 80. So we will get total 200. Because this loop controller is nothing but only element to your third group only. So 4 into 5 times, 20 times it applicable loop controller, and inside loop controller has to be request 5. So 20 into 4, one more 4 is there. 80 times it will applicable request 5. Understood, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, everyone clear, right? Loop controller.
Yes.
Okay, same thing. But one apart extra only thing is this loop control will be extra number of times will be iterated by into 4. Okay, so now I kept infinite here. So we kept infinite. Okay, and after 1 hour I stopped the script manually. Okay, so at that time, what could be the count of request 6 and request 7? How many times it could be? Just tell me average. I have kept infinite here, okay, and I have kept 1 here, okay. After 1 hour, I stopped the script because it's infinite, right? We have to stop manually. So then, in that case, is what is the count of a request 1 and request 7? How many times the count could be request 1 and request 7? What is the count of request 1? How many times it could be executed?
1 time.
One
One.
time only.
1 only, no? Then 7?
1 time.
One.
1 only, no? No. 7 is 0. Why? Because JMeter, what is the sequence? They execute everything in a single sequential way, right? So here captive request loop controls infinity. So once it controls, after execution of this one only, this will execute. You understood, right? For single user, if I have multiple users, then you will see 6 and 7. But single user, after request 5 only, this request 6 and request 7 will come. Now, see, I will show you. I given 1, right? 3, 4, 5. See, keep on executing 5 only. It won't go 6 and 7. So as I told you, right, infinity, right? So I told 1 hour. Even 1 hour after request 5 will execute it only. Understood, right? It won't go 6 and 7. So if I stop the script, then only it will stop the script. It won't go 6 and 7 also at that time. That's why 6 and 7 is 0. You see, you won't see 6 and 7. Because I kept as infinity here.
So repeating that continuously.
Continuously, right? So 6 and 7 will execute only after completion of request 5. For single user perspective. The same, even the second user also, that's also one more user, right? It will be also like that only. You won't be seeing 6 and 7. You understood, right? For one, because it's always in the first. Let's say if I kept this loop on the starting, then you won't be seeing execution of all these 1, 3, 2, 1, 3, 3, 4, 6, 7. Because it's an infinite loop, so it will keep on in request 5 only. It won't go to next one. You understood, right? Infinite. If it's normally, because Okay, how many times? Like 10 or 20 or 1000. Then only after 1000 times it will come to 6 and 7. But infinite it won't come. Okay, clear with logic controller? So logic controller will help us to control the request for particular specific request. Understood, right? So now if I ask the question like that, you will get to answer no. The request 7 will be 0.
Yes.
Right? Now if I give infinite here, now what is the request count of 5? Sorry, request count of 3. What is request count 3? How many times it could be executed after 1 hour? Come on, guys. How many times request 3 could be executed?
0.
Others?
No.
Huh? How many times? Sweta?
Zero.
Yashvi?
Yes, 0 times.
0 only, no? Because it's infinite, right? The first one. Okay, I've given 4 here and I've given now what is the request count of 7, Nerila? How many times request 7 could be executed? Nerila? Hello? Nerila, are you there? He has left. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Suresh, what is tell me the count now of request 7? Sweta, what is request 7 count?
0, I guess.
1.
One.
1, right? Because it's not
Yes.
infinite, it's 4. So
Okay.
after 4 times, other will be executed. Suresh, you got it right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Ravi.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
loop
one
controller.
time.
Okay. Yeah. Now let's go to other controller. Actually, we should be getting here insert parent. Okay, got it now. I was looking for this. Okay, insert parent. So earlier what I did, I added loop controller and dragged it and I dragged a request to it, right? But instead of that, if I want to add controller to 3, you can go here, add insert parent. Instead of add insert parent logic controller, you can add what are the controller. Okay, let's say add if controller. See, now it directly added to the request. You don't have to drag and drop. What is if condition? What is if condition normally? In general,
Else, like
if one condition, if we expect, if it's the true, then only we go to inside loop. Correct? If the condition fails, then it won't go inside the logic. Correct? If let's say right. So if I say if 1 equal to 1, then it will go inside, right? Or it will go outside of the loop. If 1 equal to 2, condition will fail, right? Then it won't go inside the condition. Correct?
Yes.
It will go outside only. If it's a condition passes, then only it will come to inside this loop. That's what if condition. Same way, suppose I want to control my request on based on some conditions. Some conditions like suppose I say I told you, right? If the products are available 0, so I don't want to go repeat. If the cart is failed, I don't want to go. If login is failed, I don't want to go. Any condition. Because by JMeter doesn't know, right? If the previous request is failed, even if depend on other request will continue, JMeter try to hit only. True? So in that case, what happens? Error percentages will be increasing unnecessarily. Correct? Suppose products are there, I'm buying the products. If the products are 0, I shouldn't go for adding to cart. But JMeter doesn't know, right? It will execute a request, all the requests will fail. Understood, right? Same way, if I want to control in that particular way, then we have to use if controller. Okay, let's see if control. If go to here, so we have a condition here. You can write this condition here. What are the conditions passes? It will allow the execute request 3. If the condition fails, it won't go execute request 3. It will go to directly 2 to 4. Okay, let's keep this as a 1. Okay, loop controller and put in order. Understood, right? Normal what happened? 1, 2, 3, 4 will execute by geometry. But as if conditions are kept here, so based on that, it will, if it's passed, then it will execute the request. Otherwise, it will skip to request and go to 2 to 4. Okay. Now, let's see, there's one more option here. Use status of lost sample. Lost sample is nothing but previous request. So if my previous request is failed, I don't want to go request 3. Simply click on this. See, we got one condition. Geometry thread dot lost sample. Okay, this is nothing but geometry function, inbuilt geometry variable. Okay, now let's run and see. I just clicked the option there. Don't worry about how to write conditions. See now, 2 and 3 executed, right? Why? What is status of 2? What is status of 2?
Success.
Pass, right? Success. That's why it executed request 3, because whatever condition I kept in the if controller, use status of lost sample. So if my previous condition request is passed, so allow it, otherwise fail. So let's fail this. So how will fail this? I will give some blank server name, dummy. So let's see now. Passing. Okay, let's put everything here. HTTPS / so that it won't go from the requested files. Okay. Now see request 2 is failed. Why? Because some unknown host exception. Because this host is not proper one. So now you see request 3 is executed. Do you see any request 3 in the V registry?
No.
No.
No, right? Why? Because the condition of request is failed. So what if controller is doing? Okay, the previous request 2 is failed. And as well as this controller, if the previous controller is passed, allow it. So now that's why it skipped request 3 to enter request 4. Understood, right? But this is not normal use case. Okay, let me remove this condition. Okay, now if I write 1 equal to 1, let's say, simple one. 1 equal to 1 means pass, right? Always. So let's see how it what it could do. Okay. So see here 1 equal to 1, it's not able to understand. So it should be uncheck this one. Okay. If you uncheck it, it will normally consider it. If you check this box by default, it will consider as variables only. One is a variable, one is also variable. But it's not variables, right? It's the numbers. Okay, now let's see. When you're writing your own condition, just uncheck that. See 1 equal to 1 pass, right? That's why 3 got executed. Now if I give 2 here, it means it should fail, right? Condition means 3 shouldn't execute. See, did 3 executed? No, right? But it's not again real use case. Real use cases we'll get a virus dynamically, like say product number or some status code or based on the response, something like that. So what you have to do? So how to check that? Let's say, let's put let's put request 1 only. Let's put here. What I can use is /. Let's go to request us. Okay, / user space. Mhm. Okay, I get a path here. That's why it's not working. HTTPS request not in. Okay. Okay, yeah. So now here, let's put it into JSON. Okay. If I want to see if my total is 12, then only I will need to execute the request 3. If my total is not 12, right? I shouldn't execute request 3. Now tell me how to write a condition. You understand question, right? I want to execute request 3 only my total number of requests are 12 in the request 1. If the total is not 12, I don't want to execute it. So tell me the condition, how to write. Normally, how we will check it? Manually.
The response we are checking now.
In the response, if 12 is there, we execute. Same way, to do by scripting means scripting also knows, right? We can't say, okay, 12 is there, go. 12 is not there, can't go, right? So we have to tell that number. So how to get the 12 out of it? First, we have to get the right. This number 12 has to pass to our if controller. Correct? Okay.
Yes.
So for that, first we have to extract it. So how to extract the 12 here? What is the option? How can I extract the 12? What is the way to extract the 12 value? Hello?
Regular expression.
Regular expression or JSON, whatever, right?
Hmm.
So first we have to extract the value. See, same way like 12 could be your price or your number of products or status, anything. The same way you have to pick up that, extract the value and pass to if controller. Okay. Control C and may put a regular expression extractor. You can use JSON also. Let's put extractor as of now, right? Dot plus question mark. There are spaces. Copy from JSON. No? Okay, got 12. Right now, copy this expression. So where can I find regular expression extractor? What is the component?
Post process.
First person. First person, right?
Hmm.
Others?
Yes,
And
yes.
first person, regular expression extractor. Okay, and let's give me the number total. Okay, template. What is template? $1.
$1.
Match number
One.
1.
One.
Okay, default value, if the expression not found, none shall not found. You can pass anywhere. Now, it means now here I need to pass total. So how can I access total here? Total is variable, right? I mean, the total is nothing but this total.
Yes.
So how to pass that value here?
Dollar flag
Dollar, curly braces,
total and
total.
close.
Okay, now what is my condition? If total is equal to 12, in that case only execute the request 3. This is how we write a condition. Same way, your product size or your available status, if the product is available or not available, right? Like that, you have to pick up anywhere, we use extractor and you write a condition. It's yes or no or 0 or greater than 1. Like that. Success, kind of anything. Right? You can use this way. Okay, now let's run the script. See, request got executed because what is the request one in the output? 12, total value 12. Now let's say this request is failed. Okay. Now you will get to 12 or not? You won't get 12, right? It's failed. See, now 3 is executed.
No.
So we are skipping the function. So that's how if control will help us to continue the blocks or or skipping the block. So here we are not necessarily, we are doing in real times. So in the real time product is available, then only we click to add to cart. Product is available, you can't do that. But the JMeter has APIs already, it doesn't know. If you click on that button, it execute only. So in that case, we'll getting extra error percentages. So unnecessarily scripting errors. To avoid scripting errors, that way use the if controller. So this if controller will help us to, based on the condition wise, it will execute the request. So what we'll do, right? Let's say add to cart block is there. We'll put enter add to cart in the if controller. Because I can add any APIs in the if controller. It's not only one. Suppose I can add the enter any number of, see, these 3 and 6 are if controller. So I will add to cart APIs are here. If the product is available, go. If the payment is success, go to checkout. Or buy to something like that. You can add the scripting. Any doubts in this controller? Very, very important if controller. We will be using a lot of times. Clear now? Okay. Shall I go to next controller? If controller clear, right? If and loop.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
Now let's go to our controller. Add logic controller. Once only controller. Once only. In the name, what it is telling you? Once only means one time. Okay. So let's see. Let's put request 7 in the once only. Okay. I have request 7 here. Okay. Now let's put 111 right by default. Okay. And this request 1 is normal. Okay. Now 2 errors request 2 also. Okay. Everything is normal, right? So let me put this velocity at the top. So we kept 7. 7 got executed, right? Do you see any difference? No, no. Normal. Even though the control is there, 7 got executed. It's correct. Now let me try 2 times. If user 2. So how many times 7 will come now? Normally. Normally, forget about controller.
Two
Now
times,
running with 2
2
users.
times.
2 times,
Two
right?
times.
Seven and 7 2 times. Correct? Okay. Now how many times 7 should come? Normal. Without any controller, how many times record 7 should come?
4.
4. 4
times.
4 times.
4.
2 into 2 into 7. Let's go to our aggregator. See, script is stopped, but see what is request number 7? 2. Why? Because once only will do only for each user, not the loop count. Even though you use 100, this once only will take the count of user only. It will ignore the count of loop. Understood, right? Once and nothing but only the based on go for user basis. If the 5 users are there, go for run for 5 times. 10 is there, run for 10 times. The loop count is 5, ignore it. Loop count is 1, ignore it. Loop count is 10, ignore it. So once only will ignore the loop count. Understood, right? Irrespective of what is the loop, 1000, 1 lakh, infinite, it won't execute. So in the real time, whenever you don't want to iterate, right? With that loop count, so in that cases, you will keep on your once only controller. So once only control we can do only with the user basis. If the 10 user come, right, it will run for 10 times. If 100 loop is there, it will ignore the 100. Whatever the number of users count, it will run for that number, that number of times. Okay. Suppose again, I got confusion, right? What I'll do? Control H. If I don't know what is what is controller, control H. It says what it says. The once only control tells JMeter to process a controller inside it once per thread and pass our request under during the further. Once per thread means how many threads will come? That one number of times. So the once only control now execute always during first iteration of the looping parent control. Thus, once only control is placed under loop control, specific loop, and the once only on the first iteration through loop control every 5 times. Understood, right? Irrespective of the order of the loop count, everything, it will run only for one time. Okay. So if you want any understand example, then you can do like this. Okay. So same way for control also you can do control H. It's clear, right? So now tell me what is the count of request 7?
5.
Others? What is the count of request 7? 5 only, na? It will ignore the loop count.
Yes.
Right? Okay, that's a once only control. Let's go to other controller. Add logic controller, random controller. What is the name of random? What is random will do generally?
Sequential.
Not execute sequence.
To execute sequential, random. And nothing but it won't follow sequence way. It will execute in a non-sequential order or non-sequence, correct? So now random controller, what it would do based on the name? Expert can't guess it. What it could do, random controller.
Position chain.
The
order position chain. The
order
execution
position changer. Okay. Others? Just guess it. What it could do.
It will pick whichever request. I mean, it's not in order. Whatever request it wants.
Right. Okay. Let's run and see. Let me put 1 and 1. One, two, three, four, they are normal. Okay, after 7, what should come? 8, right? As per sequence. But what you see here? 9. So let's run second time. Let's see what will happen for second time. So you got 12. So what random will do, right? Irrespective of how many requests will come, it will execute either only one. It will choose that one randomly. See, first time it picked up 9. Second time it picked up 12. So random count nothing but irrespective of how many requests you kept, it will pick up only one, that too randomly. Whenever hit random control of 8, it will pick up either request of normal randomly. Okay. So what is the real use case of random controller? Suppose you recorded our main flow. Along with the main flow, we have that sellers, gifts, contact us. There's some, I mean, non-important space also there, right? But we have to put load test on those things also. Not 100%, we have to put some. So in that case, so all non-importance APIs will keep here and run. So every time it will pick up different API. Understood, right? So whenever out of that you want to do a random, let's take your payment mode, right? Then what are the payment modes we have? Take e-commerce, credit card, debit card, EMI, some gift card. 4 options are there. So if you record with credit card, if you run for 1,000 users, what will happen? All 1,000 will pick up the credit card payment method only, no? Because you recorded and you kept you are running the same script again and again. So let's say if you record a debit card, if you run for 5,000, what will happen? All 5,000 will debit card option only. But in the real time doesn't want, right? Sometimes they use credit, sometimes like that. There's some percentages. randomly. So what you'll do, I'll record all the flows, credit card flow, debit card flow, gift card flow, and I will take only the payment flows from that JMX and I'll keep in my JMX the random controller. In the random controller, I will keep all the flows, credit card flow, debit card flow. So either it pick up, right? Something like right, from debit like that, you will covering all the flows. You understood, right? Random controller, it pick up one. So now let's say here it's picking only one request, correct? But as I mentioned, flow means you could have some minimum 2 or maximum 20 or something, right? So let's say the request 8 is credit. Okay. And request 9 is credit. Okay. And request 10 is debit. Let's say request 10 is debit. So if I run the script now, what will happen? It will pick up either one of the thing, correct? From the random controller. Pick up credit. But it should have to pick up 9 also, na? 8 also, right? Because my credit has this much of APS. If one of APS is not executed, the credit card transaction will fail. Correct? You're getting my point? What I'm saying here? It has to execute the flow, otherwise it has to ignore. But it can't say, okay, pick up one of the request, then other based on other API also it will fail, right? Your credit card transaction will fail or not because it executes only 9. It should execute 8 also. So let's say the second time. Now credit 8, but 9 is missing. So your script will fail or not? You guys getting right what I'm trying to say here? So it has to execute flow wise. So how can you tell random quantity to execute either 8 and 9 or 10 and 11? That's what I want. I want to execute either 8 and 9 or 10 and 11 or 12. But not single 9, single 8, single 10, single 11. Everyone, you understood, right? So how can I achieve that? Because I want to pick up the flow, pick up the entire flow, not single element. Got it, Shweta?
Yes,
The question.
Ravi.
Yeah,
Yes.
Tejashvi, right? Suresh,
Yes, Ravi.
Suresh, tell me the answer now. How can I achieve that? Nerila? Because this is a very, very important thing. Because in our real science, we'll have bunch of APIs for other flows. It's not like single API. So that's where we have to use simple controller. Because I want to group these things, 8 and 9. And I want to use inside the controller. So in JMeter, I can't add request to request. If I see right click add, I can't see sampler. Or if I see video history, I can't add one more listener. See, there's nothing. But for controller, you can add one more controller inside it. So what I will do first, I will create a simple controller, add logic controller called simple controller. So this controller will help us to group the things. So what I will do, put here credit. So then I'll drag 8 to the simple controller and 9. And same way, I will create a one more simple controller for debit. Right? Understood, right? So now what happens? Random controller will think this is the only request. If it pick up credit, obviously inside it has 8 and 9, it will pick up the 8 and 9 automatically. It pick up debit, it will pick up the debit. So in JMeter, only controller only you can add a child to controller. So either parent is also controller, child is also controller. So this concept is only possible for controllers part only. So the simple controller help us to group our things. Okay, now let's run, see what will happen. See, it picked up simple controller part here, so it picked up 8 and 9. Let's run second time. Okay, request 5 is taking time. Let's wait. See, now it picked only 12. Understood, right? When you have bunch of APIs and you want to control the bunch of is in a single shot, then you have to use simple controller inside of a random or any controller. Okay, it's clear? Random controller and simple controller. Can I add a random controller to simple controller? Come on, I need an answer. Can
Yes.
I add random to simple, right? Because it's both are controllers. only.
Yes.
Right? We can add any controller. Okay? Yeah. So now let's go to next controller. Add as a controller, let's add random order controller. What is the random order controller? Can you guess now based on the name? I'm disabling random controller here, okay? Random. Okay. Now tell me what is random order controller? So this controller will execute in a different order. Right? Whatever you said, right? Random for random with what no, it will execute in a different no, but it's happening in random order. So by default, JML will execute everything in sequential, but if you keep it in a random order, it execute everything but in a random order, not in a sequential way. See 8, 11, 12, 9, 10. It's not sequential, right? So every time it is in different random order. So whenever you don't want to go a script in a very smooth phase, I mean, like one set, same, right? Login, add to cart, product, checkout, logout. We don't want to change the pattern. I mean, there's no dependency. See, if the dependency is right on 8, if 8 execute lost, they all will fail. All right. So we have to add random order only the non-dependent APIs. If there are 8, you are extracting the value and using somewhere, and if 8 execute a loss, so how much? So all the requests will fail, right? So in the random order controller, if there is no dependence, single APIs, at those APIs only you have to use. Okay, let's run second time. Let's see what is order. See now 10, 8, 12, 9, 11. So every time it change the pattern. Okay, that's a random order controller. Clear? Shall I go to next controller? Add logic controller. Okay. Yeah, next interleave controller. Can you guess now again? What is interleave could do? Can you guess what is interleave could do? Interleave is nothing but, let's see, let's run and see. Let's give 5. 5 means, what is the count of request 4 if I execute now? Request 4. Come on, guys. Request 4. How many times it could execute?
5 times.
5 times. Now, what is loop count? 5, right? Now, let's see. Now, tell me what is happening here. Anyone? Quickly. Can I find out the pattern? No one? What happened? After 7 till you execute, okay. Out of interleave, it picked up 8 for the first loop. Again, second loop started to pick up 9. Third loop started to pick up 10. Fourth loop picked up 11. Fifth loop, 12. So instead of running 5 times, But interleave what will do, right? For every loop, it will send one request. For first loop, first one, second loop, second one, third loop, third one, fourth loop, fifth loop for fifth one. Understood? Interleave nothing but for every loop, it will take one. So generally, what loop count will do? If you keep the request will execute based on the given loop. Right? But here it's not like that. It will execute for every single request, for every single loop, for a single request. Let's say a given loop of 3. Now tell me then how many requests will execute from the interleave?
3.
3.
Okay.
So for second loop, which request will pick it up?
9.
9.
Request 9, great. No? For third loop,
10.
10, great. Right. Now, if I give 7 here, what is the seventh loop? Which request will pick it up? How many I have? 5, right? So for 5, it will take first 5. For 6 and 7, what will happen? Again, it will come to here, top. For 6th loop, it will take 8th one, and 7th loop again 9th. Okay? Okay, now tell me for 12th loop, which request will pick up?
9.
9.
Correct. So again, we'll repeat only, nothing much. That's what interleave control will do. Okay? Clear, right? Interleave. So let's go to again control. Let's see what documentation says. So if you add a generator or logic control to alternative interleave controller, J-meter will alternate among each of the controllers for each loop iteration. Right? For every each loop iteration, it will alternate the controller. J-meter will alternate among each of the controllers for every each iteration. Right? If you see interleave across the threads, checked. Yeah. Across threads. Oh, okay. This option are telling that. So what happens? This option. What is it telling, right? If we have unchecked, right? If we check it, what says? If check, interleave control will alternate among each of the children control for each loop, but across all threads. For example, in confidence 4 threads and 3 child controls, and for iteration, first will run, and second set second, is third will third thread, and fourth will on first thread. Again, same thing. If it's across threads means multiple controllers in the same thing. Okay, that's what interleave will help. So in the real case, right, what do you use? So in our loop count, if you want to send a different execution, not for every time, right? Suppose first loop, I need to go, let's say, product 1 page. Second loop, instead of repeating again product 1, I want to go on product 2. Third loop, product 3. So like that, you want to spread your more test instead of repeating each and every time for every loop for every user. That's why you can interleave controller. Okay, it's clear, right? Controllers, whatever we discussed now till now. Okay, let me stop the recording.